I want a moderator. My own moderator. Well, you are first. Congratulations. What is going on? I am in the kitchen again. It's cold out there. It's supposed to be negative 20 something degrees tomorrow with the wind chill. This is unacceptable. You cannot race in this type of environment. Oh, goodness. Oh. Whew. It's been a day. Lots of stuff going on at work. Lots of stuff to build. Good workout after work. And now I get to spend time with you guys. What's going on, Mr. Cooper? He's got some killer swag coming soon. Rylan in the 202 has some killer swag being printed up. That's great. My cat's coming to visit me. My other cat. We have 4 cats in this house now. 4? 4 cats. 5 cats. 4 cats. Yeah. 5 animals, 4 cats. Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be cool to see Rylan stuff come out. Super pumped about that. It's my cat's tail. See? Yes. Hi, Raven. Okay. Get. All of our animals, for the most part, well, except for Stink, but that's my son's cat. There's Ravenclaw and Luna. Luna Lovegood both from Harry Potter. Then we have Maserati. She was initially not ours, so she got a different name. And then Norman, Paranorman. We're big kind of nerds in this house. But yeah, it is cold out, and I'm not doing that. That is for certain. I considered it briefly, and then when we got out of the truck after the gym, I went, nah, it's too much snow. It's too much cold. Even bundling up like last week, it was fun and all to be out there. But by the time I got done with the live stream, my feet were frozen. It was good. So what is going on, everyone? What is going on in the karter world? I saw a big to-do about, it's not really to-do, that NKA, AKRA, WKA all kind of consolidated on their Dakar rules. And then a bunch of tracks are like, hey, we're not updating, which is cool. I don't fault them from, hey, we have this rule package, we don't want to change it. All right, I get it. But I'm envisioning that whatever rules they're running in Dakar, would maybe they're pushing the limits with what they're accepting now. So that whatever other tracks they got going on kind of fall within those parameters, being either, one of the sanctioning bodies. Hey, what's going on? The sanctioning bodies, rule set type of thing. But, like definitely WKA events, major events are probably going to be like, you could run that package of Dakar, but here's what is allowed. And I guess I haven't looked into it much, the 2026 clone rules yet. I don't know if the new cam is accepted. I'm assuming it's accepted. That's why they produced it. I don't think it's going to be a hot cam, just a variation. But it's like, I understand progress. I understand, doing these things, in all 3 sanctioning bodies being on board with whatever changes here, but like some stability would be okay. Like if you keep it the same for longer, it will, there's, I don't know. I don't think there's a need to chase the horsepower. Like if you felt that the CL4 cam, I think that's what it's called, was pretty good and it turned more RPM, then what is the need for the CL5? I get it, but pretty soon here, the clones keep on pushing the CCs or any of their parameters inside the engines. You're going to be up to, like animal specs of horsepower. Because I think an animal it's like 18 horse, give or take. But yeah. We have about 5 inches coming and wind chill below 0. I think your weather is drunk and coming to my place. Yeah, it's again. I feel for you guys down south that you aren't prepared for this type of stuff. This is this is winter to us every year. It's like, yep, that's the thing that kills me is you get on Facebook or whatever, and everybody's like, oh, it's snowing, it's this and that. It's just like, welcome to Western New York. Like, how long have you lived here? Because I've been here for 48 years, and yep, every winter. Yeah. Oh, it was an idea. Yep. Oh man. Yep. The Jack. Matter of fact, that's one of I being that I finally subscribed or started following my own page on Facebook. I wasn't following Kart 63. Now I'm getting, a bunch of videos kind of thrown my way like, hey, do you want to check this out? It's like, well, I made that, but okay. And there was an older one where I just did, I don't know, some TikTok something or other where you were picking movies. And throughout those, you were Saving Private Ryan and this and that. And the winner was The Shining. And I guess I never even really thought about it that way. Like we have some movies that the wife and I, we could just watch over and over. You got the Harry Potter series, the entire thing. It just can be on any time of day. The Shining is definitely one of them. The Ninth Gate is one of them. And my newest favorite is the Equalizer, that newest, it's been out a couple years, but the Equalizer series, I mean, that Denzel Washington is fantastic in those. It's something I can put on, and I would argue that the third one is the best one of the bunch, but that's aside from Kart stuff. It's just personal stuff. I got coming up here shortly, the announcement was made that I will be attending the I don't want to get the name wrong, but next Northeast Kart Supply is holding a karting expo in Keene, New Hampshire next Saturday, and I'll be headed up there. Thank you very much, Aaron Roof, for pushing me into it. It's like I was trying to get my wife on board to go with me, but with the dog, it has some complications, and leaving her in a hotel all day long while I go out and talk karts all day long, it's bad enough when she goes to the track that I wander off and I won't be back for an hour. So she doesn't love going to the track because I do that. I get conversing with everybody or whatever. But yeah, ends up I'm just gonna go. It's a 6-hour pull, and not even pull. I'm not taking the trailer, but I am going to take the Shatter up there for display, show everybody, which means I just gotta double check some stuff. I cleaned it, lubed it, everything's good to go on it. Probably won't put an engine on it, no need for that. But maybe I'll put an engine on it if I feel the need to do that. But I gotta get the 5.3 titanium hubs and stuff back on it, and make it look as pretty as possible. Maybe I'll break out the WD or Armor All or something to make it shiny. But I'm not doing anything special to it. Like the nose guard's all goofed up. The weather's just going to be cold, so I'm not like in a big rush to do any modifications to the kart. Although I have more baseboard stuff, I could just I get the heat gun. I could redo it. It wouldn't be that hard. But yeah. Yeah, I know. Clones are going to be limited overhead valves before long if they keep going. It's and I'm not against it. Like, I like horsepower. I like going fast, and I think everybody else can appreciate going fast. But I think my biggest take on it is that every year there seems to be changes. Are they necessary? I don't think so. I didn't find anything wrong with last year's. The engine made good power, turned good RPM. With the what was the new cam, you could turn it up, upwards of 7,200, 7,400, something like that before it started to top out. I mean, once you start, I'm no 4-stroke guy. I know, very little about the internals, and I get the basic function, but I'm not somebody to check valve lash and stuff like that. But the springs are going to be a limiting factor there. I mean, the more radical you get on the cam, the more you're going to make those springs work, and the more they work, the more they wear out. The more they wear out, the more often you have to replace them and all that stuff. And you're not going to get, when you start pushing the boundaries with any type of engine package, be it UAS, anything like that. Once you start turning consistent high horsepower as something, whether it's 15 horsepower, 16 horsepower, or 17 horsepower, or 70 horsepower, you're just gonna wear parts out quicker. It's just the way it goes. Yeah, you can build a 500cc Jawa that makes 100 horsepower. Put it on OS. You put a supercharger on it, whatever it is. Pay the weight penalty for that. I think it's 15 pounds still. If I unless they change it, I haven't looked at the UAS rules. I just know my two-stroke weights, but you can do that stuff. But at what cost? At the cost of your wallet for certain. Because once you start slinging that piston up and down in there, bearings are rotating faster. Lubrication becomes a problem. Rings are going to wear out faster. It's just the more you turn them, the more horsepower you start to push out of things. It's gonna wear the engine out. It's the same, if I make a Second Amendment reference, a 9mm compared to a 40 cal. Yes, the bullet velocity is better, faster and higher impact and stuff like that. But it's a high compression round, and it's the internals of the gun eventually. I'm not saying that, I got 40 million, run through my Glock 23 or whatever. It does happen, but also you just have to the laws of physics come into play, whether it be Second Amendment related or high horsepower. The more you push the issue, the faster stuff is going to wear out. The components are just they're not indestructible. They will give. But yeah, keep the same engine builder's business making changes there. Yeah, it does. It's it makes me question, because I got a couple clones now that should probably at least be gone through. Maybe rebuilt, probably springs and stuff like that. Just is relative. I don't have that many races on it, so probably doesn't need anything, rod or anything. I think one has a billet rod in it, one does not. My engine builder was just like, I don't see a problem in it, but it's not that much more expensive to put the billet one in there now that it's loud. It's just if there was a fail point in it, you're going to eliminate that. Cool. Put it in there. But springs are definitely, probably seeing better days to keep the engines at, optimal level type of thing. So, but yeah, that's when they rule change, you're going to have to rebuild them regardless. But if you start opening up stuff like that, oh, wow. Greenland. Oh, I can't even pronounce that. Greenlandia. Well, hello. Glad you're here. It's going to have to be rebuilt anyway. It's going to have new springs anyway, and that's my point. That if you're increasing the horsepower with these gains, even if it's if it's 0.4 of a horsepower or something like that, it's gonna have wear on the engine, and it's eventually gonna wear it out. But yeah, that's oh, I got this sitting here. So I'm going to do something a little new this year. Had to talk to somebody. I got squeeze bottles. These were $1. Now, I went to Amazon, and I was going to order like a 6-pack or something like that, but I saw, who the heck was it? Rocket Tire Services. Dave. I'm drawing a blank. Every time I go to say somebody's name, I draw a blank. I will think of it eventually. Anyway, it got me thinking about the way I have prep. Now, first off, being Track Tack guy, my original agreement when I talked to Randy Ransom, who is now the former owner of Track, was that I was going to carry everything with me. If anybody needed some, I had plenty. I had gallons on the in the trailer, ready to go. If you wanted some black sand, if you wanted some SAA grape, here, try some. I have plenty type of thing. Now, very few people have utilized this when I'm at a track. Not that I travel a lot, but very few people have utilized that. And honestly, I'm sick of moving totes of prep. And there's no need for that extra weight to be in there and for me to have that much prep on board. So, Mr. Richard, there we go. Of Rocket Tire Services. I don't know, it is these exact models, and I got like 10 of them just in case I think the chemical will be fine in them. I kind of researched, chemical resistant type of thing, but when it comes down to it, I can just replace this. It seems as though it's not going to break down due to the preps, but the concept is I saw him squirting on, a wax pad, an applicator that we all kind of use for wiping tires. And I thought, you know what, that is a fantastic idea. Not only can I reduce the amount of prep I actually carry, I can put all my preps in these bottles and then have obviously a smaller tote or smaller bin of what preps I have, obviously label them all so I know what they are. But then more so was the concept of, a lot of us have sandwich containers with that prep pad in it. And I always have the pad sitting in the prep. Now, prep is going to break down things, and an applicator pad is made out of foam on the inside. It's terry cloth or whatever on the outside, microfiber. And then in the inside is a type of sponge. And that's got to break it down. I feel it, and some of the pads that have been in it, it's been breaking it down. So the concept was I still have the sandwich containers. I still have the prep pads that are for that specific type of prep. But what I'm going to carry is these, if I had a whole bunch of quarts, it would work the same, cool. But it was cool to see him take it out of the container, just put what he needed on the pad and then wipe the tire with it. And I thought, it was just in the back of my brain. We were making an order from Walmart, and I just like, hey man, it cost me like $10 for 10 of these, and what a concept, it just simplifying things that I don't know that it was causing a problem, but involving some other, if your prep is supposed to be this. Now you're introducing, some type of sponge or something like that. Once it breaks that down, once it's sitting in there, and then there's also the accumulation of whatever you're wiping the tire. Now it's entering back into the mix of prep that you got going there. So just a small thing that I really like that idea. I observed and I thought, you know what, that's a great idea. It also just for my own selfish reasons, I don't want to carry along. I probably have, I don't know, 8, somewhere 6 to 8 gallons of prep in the trailer all the time when I go to the track, and I rarely ever used, especially in Cologne, you can overdo a tire and bog yourself down with too much bite. So it's, I found myself backing off that, maybe the years of running open, I could have gotten away a little more with it because you can be a little more prep heavy in an open on a UAS ride. But yeah, it's I like that concept, and I thought I would apply it to that. How come nobody really does no prep that much for go-karts? Because it's allowed. I did a video on it, and but you don't have to watch the video. I just explained it is hard to enforce. You even go to, your sprint racing and this and that, people will try and find a way around the rules. So the basic concept is that, yes, you can tire test. Yes, you could walk around. Yes, you can say this is no prep class, but then you have to police it. Now, on a big stage, maybe you could have people wandering around in the pits or doing tire samples, where there's a lot more money involved. Where when it boils down to it, that's not the majority of what goes on. A majority of what goes on is Friday and Saturday night racing. These are local tracks. Now, asking them that if they're a weekly track, bi-weekly track or whatever, that they, hey, you have to test tires, you have to take samples. It costs money to do that. Then you're holding people's winnings, away from them. And it's not that it's impossible. It's that it is very hard to enforce. And, there's, the concept, if there's anything in the trailer that could contaminate your tires, now your tires don't pass. It is easier to say, knock yourselves out, as long as it is, federally or state legal, for you to have whatever chemicals it is. Like, it's not for creosote, that's a big no-no. And still people, have a tendency to use it. It is easier just to say, just do your tires, and then we don't have to police it. So it's easy to say just no prop. Oh, it'd be, get rid of prop. It's easy to say, harder to apply. That's the whole point of that video. But I could go either way. The no prep puts it more in the driver and mechanic's hands. That is for definite. That is, definitely takes more of a setup guy and adjustment guy than it does a tire guy. This is very true. So I could go either way on that subject. Like, ban prep. Okay, you got to enforce it. If you can enforce it, then cool. Let's all start working on our carts again. That's fine by me. But it's just from a, take AMS or, anything like that. It's just easier to be like, we don't care what tires, you got to run this brand of tire if they have a tire rule, and then whatever, that's the concept behind that. I got to turn my brightness up. I'm having a hard time reading. I'm old, guys. The gray hairs make it hard to read. JRE Center, changing the valve springs every 6 races, keep optimal spring pressure or valve control. There you go. Yep, absolutely. I don't doubt that in the slides. I have two clones. So basically I'll get 1 or 2 runs on one engine, and then I swap out engines and just put the, so it elongates the time that I have to, basically I can make a season. I'm not, I'm cheap, as everybody knows from this channel. So I'm not one to rebuild engines in the middle of the year type of thing. But I should probably sit down with like Mike or whoever at Motorworks that does my engines, and actually sit there and learn the process of changing valve springs, what needs to be done, and then obviously it'd make content for the channel. But I could show other people now. Would that make a whole bunch of engine builders mad? Probably not, because it's just like, from the engine builders I know, they're pretty busy. Everybody gives them their engines like, I need this back. And then they're like, oh, I got so many engines. I may see if a guy who does porting can do a kart engine for me. Normally it works on motorized bike engines. Sure. I don't know that I don't know like a clone's CC, they have a CC limit, but as far as I know, AKRA, NKA, WKA allows porting of the heads now. They also allow the heads to be shaved because of the trueness of, what's coming out of China, to a certain degree. So there's going to be a CC limit, obviously. I don't know about compression. There's things like lift and stuff like that are going to come into play there. But as far as I know, it's, if you can make the engine run better with some porting, that's where a lot, if not all, the horsepower is really coming from. Everybody's got to run the same CCs. Everybody's got to run the same cams. Like I said, billet rods are now allowed in clones. So all the real horsepower is probably be coming from blueprinting the carburetor, making sure that it's legal, but it's right on the edge of legal type of thing. And then the port work to the head and what is allowed there. That's going to make the difference between them. I use new pads every single week. Yeah. See that, your concept is correct. I do have new wax pads coming in at Walmart again. They were, I don't even know, it was 10 pack, 12 pack, something like that. They were really cheap. And especially if you're using something super aggressive, that definitely could have an effect on the pad, on what you're putting on tires. I've never really had a problem, even, have them saturated in the prep that I have, but also, to add into that, when you're carrying around sandwich containers that are full of prep, you increase your likelihood of spillage. You get a rough road. I live in the Northeast, so when I go down to PA, the hills of PA, sometimes the back roads are not kind, nor are the regular roads here in New York. So the possibility of dumping something, that get rattling around, it cracks open. Numerous times I've opened up my trailer and went, phew, something spilled. uh, uh, Racers want to spend money point blank, no prep, use Duro. That's a possibility too. That, it's more prevalent in the treaded world now, like having a Duro rule or a depth rule. That's one of the things we've talked about before, that, have you can't go below this. If we got our gauge, and you better punch your tires beforehand. Now, comes into just little things like this. You got to punch them before they go out on track, because obviously you run on track. If you punch them directly after they come off track, they're hot. They're going to be more malleable. Obviously, the Duro is going to come down on it. But if you were to, if you had a Duro rule, you go along the grid and you just, pick a tire, your right rear tire, your right front tire, maybe two tires, something like that, and have somebody just poke them and go down through. Good, 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 good. That's soft. You got an opportunity to change it real quick, type of thing. That's a possibility. Just don't check them afterwards, because nobody's going to make that. That's as soon as the rubber heats up, you're toast. I'm going to be bored when we get the legend. No sanding, no prepping, and what do we do? Yeah, I ran one no prep race with Reaper. It was at Champion Speedway, and I was at a loss. I'm a prep guy. I don't want to say a pedal prep, but I definitely do videos on prep. I use prep type of thing. So when I got there and then I couldn't touch my tires, I was just like, goodness. It's like air pressure and some chassis adjustments. It was a curveball. It had been many moon before, since I had done that. Not, usually with scaling and numbers, and as good as everybody really has. All right, it's warm in here. By the way, I'm bald. Numbers as good as they are with setting up a cart, you have a tendency not to touch the chassis as much. There's still people that do. I still do. I'll make cross adjustments, camber adjustments, caster adjustments, air pressure, the whole nine. I still do that stuff. But when you get on like a bigger stage, you have a tendency to find people, when I was wandering around Selinsgrove last year, just walking around, and carts are just sitting there. And they're the people who were fast were in the trailer. They were working on their tires to figure out what exactly they needed for the next run. And I like the Duro idea, because then you can go ahead and prep your tires the way you see fit. But there's limitations to it. No, goat pee is going to be your not a good friend. From the track tack line, you're probably going to be using something like AT2, like Orange, like SQS, that doesn't drop the durometer a ton, but does have a very good effect on the tire. What's going on? I'm not so big anymore. I weighed myself this morning. It's 200.3 pounds. Yeah. I'm not focused on a number. It's, first off, healthy. I'm trying to consume less calories, still working out, still as strong as I once was, but it really, snoring, stuff like that. It was just like, it's probably for the chassis that I'm running here, that God gave me. It doesn't like being 224 pounds. That's what I got up to. I was thick. And my wife's currently upset at my weight loss. Not so much, health wise, but just like, how dare you lose weight and not me? But it opens up doors. I probably won't be able to, by the time summer hits here, I'm more active. I'm outside. I'm moving. If I'm able to maintain this weight, I'm going to be dropped down into the hundreds, which it's been 5 years since I've seen, the 190s. It's going to open up the door for running everything except for super heavy, which you would have to be a 200-pound human to do that. I'm fine with being 200 pounds. I don't care about the number so much, but it does open up. Is it possible I could run a 350 class? I definitely can run, 375, 390. Those are easy. But am I going to be light enough on the Shatter this year? The Shatter seems to be a little bit of lighter chassis, in my opinion, at least from when I scaled it the first time. I was just like, oh, I got to add some lead to this thing to make the mark at this race. The last race of the season I did. It just opens up the door. You see a lot of fast guys, and I'm not saying it's everything, but you see little jockeys. You could put lead on the cart to make weight to get it exact. But when you're a bigger human, much tougher, much tougher to get down there. And then also the UAS ride, I don't think the weights have changed, but with this current engine package, the Bama 250, I have to weigh 400 pounds. And when I was at the Grand Nationals this past year, I was 440 or 450 with fuel on board. That is insane. I am 50 pounds above. Not that the engine really cares all that much. It'll still, move me, but it limits what you can do. Now you got to move lead weight. Now you got to pick up a heavier cart. If I only got to weigh 400 pounds, I would be happier weighing in at 410, even 420. Like 30 pounds off the cart would be fantastic. But I had no lead on the cart, and I was like 440 pounds, something like that. Crazy, absolutely crazy. What's up on that? I was eating there. Yeah, I just got done. Just made I got to clean the Ninja air fryer, as my wife tells me that it's getting gross in there. I got to clean that up. I just did I did bread some chicken. I got some breadcrumbs, little egg wash, and then roll them in that, and then air fry it. Yeah, I know, carbs are, their carbs are fuel. Anyway, been trying to eat a little healthier. It's working out. Here's my wife. Hey, honey. She won't even say hey. Prepping tires is the worst part of kart racing. That's why guys make a living on the sale of these tires racing. Yeah, it's been a part since I've been in it, and I've been this year I started racing the same year my daughter was born, so I will have been racing for 24 years come this spring, right around the corner. It's been part of it since I've been in it. It's, people were making stuff before that. When I got in, we're WD-40 tires. That's prep. That's, it's not a prep company, but we used to WD-40 our tires and wipe them off. That, cleans them, obviously, wash them, WD-40. It imparts some oils into it. But then we got into the wintergreen, and then obviously Track Tack came along, and we got into Track Tack type stuff, and then obviously the prep boom kind of happened there, say 2010-ish, give or take. That was when it really, in my opinion, started to take off. But everybody used to do it. You hear the old stories about the old late models and stuff like that, soaking your tires in diesel fuel and stuff like that. It's been a part of everything for a very long time. It is. If you're not used to it, if you're new to come into it, it's tough to be a dad getting in and not knowing what you're doing, and you have people buying tires that are already pre-prepped and pre-cut and all that stuff. That's just the way I thought I had food in my mouth. I understand that. That's part of the purpose of this channel is that I can teach things about that they don't have to be complicated. You don't need a million preps. I know that Track Hack has the most extensive line of preps out there. You don't need them all. I don't use them all. There are certain situations where I absolutely would, say rough cut diamond, more developed for the Midwest type of tracks. Rarely ever use that, kind of a mealy type of surface that works really good for that. But I don't have any, super purpose for that. Gold grip, red and grape and stuff like that is more my style, more of what I use. But yeah, how much time and money is spent on prepping tires a season. You know, it depends how crazy you go. If you're running Burris, thank you for Burris for coming back on board for 2026. Most people don't internal prep Burris. And I would argue that most people don't pre-wipe Burris. So prep wise, I think that probably Burris and Reaper are your least prep tires. With that said, you have the opposite, Vega Yellows and Maxxis. Tire cycles with the Maxxis that you'll re-roll, stuff like that. That internal prepping is a thing, and keeping up on that, and then wiping your tires, once a day or once a week to keep them fresh and stuff like that. It depends on what brand you're running and what surface you're running. Again, I'll argue that Burris may be the most expensive tire you have, but I think it takes the least outside of cutting and surfacing time-wise. Prep-wise, I think it takes the least amount of prep of all of them. I think that the Reaper would be second because the day of racing, the Reaper, depending on the amount of bite you have, if you got a low bite situation, you're going to wipe type of thing, and then sand them in between runs type of thing. To whereas, a Vega or a Maxxis, you're going to spend a bit more on prep because you can really lay the prep to them. But yeah, that's a hard question to answer because it really depends where you're at, what type of tire you're at, things like that. Be careful how much prep you carry in the trail. Yeah, I know. That's another side thing. This is, so a multitude of reasons I have found this, thank you. It's not like he told me to do it or anything. I just witnessed it. Rocket Tire Services. I know they don't use track tack, but Mr. Richard's a good dude. Got to hang out in his pits at Syracuse indoors. Just a racer's racer, BS, jokes, the whole nine. Very competitive, but in general, genuine, a good dude. Do I have any tricks for a helmet fogging up? Yes, the visor. I run. I've had less problems running the Zamp helmet. I will say that. Got mine from Product 41. I'll go ahead and mention that. But the Zamp helmet I even ran before. I had less problems with that visor system because they have a coating on them that helps prevent that. Now, with that said, if you do have a problem, there's they do make sprays that you can I used to have some of that spray. I used to put it on my glasses, matter of fact. Spray the surface, wipe it off. It leaves a coating on there, so it prevents that. If you don't want to buy that, people would suggest shaving cream, Barbasol or whatever, sprayed on there. Whatever chemicals on there will prevent it. What I have found to be, your face gets dirty. What I have found to work the best out of the bunch, if you're really having, if it's a heavy dew night and you're having a bad time with fogging and everything like that, you can crack your visor, but sometimes it slams shut. What you do is, my friend Walt taught me this. Just take, pardon me, take some duct tape and roll it up kind of real thin and put it right on that line. There's a shelf there where your visor closes down, and it's somewhat sticky. So it'll eventually get dirty, but it doesn't allow your visor to completely shut. You can still see out of it normally, but it allows air to vent in around your face. Is this, a safety concern? Maybe because your visor isn't all the way down, but I mean, if you hit something hard enough, your visor's coming up anyway, type of thing. But it allows, I kind of like the new Zamp helmet that I have. It comes with breath deflectors. Now with glasses, I didn't like it because no matter what I do, my hot breath, especially when you're breathing heavy from racing, has a tendency to get up into my glasses. I can see it working amazing for somebody without glasses, but I took those out. I like a ton of air in there. I like it to be ventilated inside my helmet. And then if I do have a problem with that, I keep my visor open just that little bit. I put a little roll of tape, pick a side, whatever side you feel. And it helps that the air, when it hits your mask, it comes up and in, and it allows it, if it is going to fog, it should clear up like that. But yeah, there's that. Guys that raced with us got into an accident going home one night after races, and a bunch of prep got spilled on the road. Yeah, that's, That's not good. Bring in the bring in the chemical specialist and that. Yeah, that would be a bad time. Hazmat team got involved and he's in trouble for transporting hazardous materials. Yep, I can see that. That would be a bad time having to deal with that type of scenario. Getting the government involved in anything you're doing is no good. I'm definitely looking forward to not only the reduction in weight, the reduced aspect of spilling prep, all of that on board. I do have to, I don't know what kind of labels or whatever I'll be able to, if you write on prep bottles, you know full well that prep, once you spill it on there, you're just going to whoop and come off. So I'm going to have to come up with some kind of labels. I don't know if they could get chemical resistant labels or something that would stick to that, or duct tape, something like that, just to get on there and kind of let me know. I visually wise, because they're tinted different colors, visually wise, and smell wise, anybody that has been around prep long enough, you give it a little, and it's just like, oh, that's mint. That's it. Yeah, color tape. Yep, I could. Could probably do like a wrap. They have those multi packs of like electrical tape in different colors, and pick one of them that is similar in color and go with that. Probably write on it too, just so in case I forget type of thing. You could make a little chart. You could get really technical with it. But yeah, like wrapping red tape on butter and goat pea. Obviously I'll be able to say it. One of the products that I do carry with me that is not Track Tack is Krug Green, because you just never know when you're going to need it. It works really good. There's no equivalent to that color. And anybody who's gotten it on your skin, you know it. Wear gloves when you're prepping tires, people. Yeah. There's also something that can be installed on the inside that has a silicone seal called an anti-fag shield. Oh, good to know. Amazon has them, and Zamp also makes their own. Nice. Yeah, that's I haven't had a terrible time with the new visors, whatever the coating that Zamp started putting on their stuff. I haven't had a major issue with it in a long time. Back when I used to run really cheap helmets, I've been a bargain basement type of shopper, most of my life. I used to run a Scorpion. It was Snell certified, but it was a motorcycle helmet, full face motorcycle helmet. And oh boy, did I have a real hard time. As a matter of fact, I believe it was that helmet when Walt said, suggested the rolled up type thing, that allowing more air in there will allow for it to, if it's gonna fog, it'll clear. You breathe out, it's gonna fog and then go away. And you just kind of accept that. With glasses as is, I deal with my own type of problems. If a track's too rough, this stuff happens. Makes you fine tune your racing. Green stains everything. You are right. I spilled some in the trailers, right? We could walk out there right now and look at the doorway of my trailer, and the wood is stained green. I wonder what that's from. It is definitely, it's really good prep. It's a really good prep, but buyer beware. It will stain the gloves you have. It will stain your skin. It will stain your trailer. It can make a mess if you're not careful with it. So that's definitely a buyer beware type of thing. But speaking of which, I got to get some more. I got to put that on my list. Going down to JC the 27th, I'll be down there. So not only going to New Hampshire next weekend for the Kart Expo, for next there, Northeast Kart Supply, going up there the 27th of February, I will be going down to JC Specialties and hopefully doing what I intended to do. I don't know what kind of interviewer I am. We're about to find out. I don't know that I'll get everybody there either, but I have two mics. This is, if anybody's ever seen it, the mic I wear. It comes with two, and they both operate. I got two things to register, so if I give whoever I'm interviewing the mic, no matter where they're holding it, I can adjust the scale in which their volume is, I think. I should be able to, boost them up if they're quieter or whatever, but hopefully, I get a couple interviews. I'm sure that if, Scotty and Kyle are there from 5-3, there's no doubt in my mind I could get them to to get on camera type of thing. I don't know if Denver Smith from Demon's going to be there. I don't know who's all going to be there. The announcement hasn't been made. It really is weather dependent for some of the guys coming up south. But Disco Donnie Naw was there last year. I talked with him a bit. Super nice dude. Charger Racing chassis and Insanity Tire Prep. Super good dude. I talked with a bunch of Mr. I want to say Cordova. I think that's his name. He was there. Shoot. What's his name? Blumenstein was there. I talked to a bunch of people, and I just thought, it would be really kind of cool if I could interview people, at least for nothing other than give them a mic and say, tell me a little bit about your company, and then let it kind of. I don't like, as the videos that you guys have watched. I don't like having. It's okay to have pointers. I don't like having written out type of thing. I like to let information flow freely as my brain thinks of it. So I'm banking on the fact that they're going to give me something that I can kind of play off of in an interview. But yeah, by the way, I saw the Shatter chassis in person, OVKA swap meet last Saturday. Very nice looking chassis. Yeah. Matt Kaler was there. He asked me if I was coming out. It's 7-hour drive down there, and the weather was not great. And I was just like, he's like, hey, are you coming out? I'm like, I would love to meet Mac. Our interactions have been nothing but spectacular. Matter of fact, I ordered another one of his steering wheels for the clone that has the spokes, so legal. That is en route right now. Ordered one of those, and he's just all around a super guy. He's making super products. Aside from the chassis, he does a great job on the Shatter Blast. But I think that Mac is, he's somebody that I would get along with wonderfully. I just think that he is of that type of mindset that, kind of like me, the positive, like he's been through some adversity. His wife, you made a post there. He did UAS Kart that was there showing off, and his wife had breast cancer, and, she's recovering from that. And, it was inspired by that. And, it takes a man to do that, and a family for that matter, his wife, to pull through that and to move forward. And I think that's fantastic. I just, it's very inspiring to have somebody be such a new guy, or such a great guy. I've also ordered a new helmet from Product 4. Awesome. Good job, Bill. Ronnie's a great dude too. I've said it before in the video from Product 41. I talked to him for an hour, and you never know with people's interactions. That's on the other side of things when you're, lack of a better term, peddling your product, when you're, trying to sell somebody on something. You never know if you're going to get the very, to the point, business is usual type of personality. And Ronnie is anything but. He is here for the racer. He is a super good guy. Not only, he's a sponsor of this channel. I got the helmet, was able to do that video and everything, but I ordered from him, no discounts or anything like that. I just straight up, I got on his website, which is really nice, by the way. If you ever want anything from Product 41, think it's Shopify. Really nice layout, very good descriptions on stuff, and very to the point. I want this, I want this, I want this, and I hit order, and I hit my card, and then away stuff went. And to me, the products game, super good. And like I said, when I talked to him on the phone, racer's racer. I love meeting those type of people that are in the position of, supplying the things to us. You don't want a suit. You don't want somebody who, it's all right to be business oriented. Hey, this is my product. This is what I have for you. Great, cool. That's fantastic. I'm not only investing myself in your product, I'm investing myself in you. And if you can sell you, you will sell me the product. If you can, that you don't have to, not a snake oil salesman type of thing. The product should stand by itself. If you can sell you will be able to sell the product. Especially if you're a down to earth type of person. That's and I Ronnie, Mac, everybody that very few people have I interacted with. Maybe one company. I won't mention them here because I I don't badmouth people on here. I didn't have the greatest interaction with them ordering stuff. Ordered, nothing came, nothing came, nothing came, and it's just like I wrote an email like, "Hey man, like I paid for this, right?" And you got the typical excuses, and it is what it is. If you're busy, cool, but like a shout out, like, "Hey man, we are way behind. We don't have this product. We don't, that it bugs me. It bugs me when you can't be forthright with stuff. It just one of my quirks. I'd rather be invested in somebody than just a product. It is nice to, hey, you got this product, I want the product, great. But if you're interacting with somebody, make them feel something, make them be invested in you and be like, hey, I'm proud to run this product. Mac is awesome. We'll be at a shop tomorrow helping the seat mount. Yeah, that's cool. Not only is Mac doing, obviously he's building Shatter chassis, making his own line of UAS stuff, Nerf bars, WKA style bars, stuff like that, brakes, everything else, titanium, this and that. But also, Mr. Cooper here, his son Rylan, if you don't know, is getting into legend racing, and the seat needs some modifications and stuff like that for a smaller driver and do some stuff to it. And Mac has been like, yeah, bring it over, let's build this stuff. And I love that I have being what I do for a living, I have a real soft spot, and we'll say UAS too. I have a super soft spot for people who can invent stuff, who can build stuff. That's why I like chassis so much. That's, it's tubing. Yeah, it's the, pick a brand, they got the best brand out there. Cool. What does it look like? That intrigues me. Why does it behave like this? Why, the front hoop is designed like this, the motor rails, change angle here. What effect will that have in somebody's, engineer brain? Somebody had to create that, and I love that aspect. I think it's wonderful. I love new products and people that come up with, out of the, I don't run them. I haven't run a UMAX in a long time, but dude, the Rival, the Evolve, thinking outside of the box. The Eccentric from back in the day, at the time, one of the most dominant UAS rides out there. I know some people gripe about the Eccentric, being in a clone, that it just tight. I tell you what, as a UAS ride, it's tempting. My buddy Tommy has two of them. He hasn't raced in years. Well, since Paradise closed in 2020. I think it's 20. No. When they closed, 2022. He hasn't raced since then, and he's got a couple Eccentrics, and I'm like, those work pretty good as UAS rides, man. I don't need any more stuff. I don't need any more stuff. I kind of do, but I don't need it. I want it. I don't need it. But yeah, I love ingenuity. Don't just give me plain Jane. If you're gonna give me plain Jane, be passionate about it. For instance, I'm not calling their chassis plain Jane by any stretch of the imagination. Do not read this that way. But Charger hasn't changed the design in a very long time because it works. Now, listening to the Four Takes and Fuel podcast, when they had, what's his name, Boomer? No. Yeah, Boomer, yeah. I think that's it. When they had talking about the chassis dyno and stuff like that, knowing what the numbers are for a particular chassis. Hey, I got a cart that's doing this. They can go back through and they're like, this did this to this. Try changing this. That's ingenuity. Not everybody does that. Not everybody has the ability to do that. But that's, hey, we're offering this package that hasn't changed in a long time. But what kind of, they offer the the Rogue, which is a big tube chassis. They, offer the Cadet and stuff like that, which is going to be smaller tube, softer, absorbs bumps better. They have these options, thinking outside of the box, like, hey, we just offer this, type of scenario. And I'm not dogging on anybody that doesn't have those options, but it is giving options to people. I love that. I love, people that put passion into their craft. It gives me the feel goods. Sure does. I almost grabbed the prep bottles. No prep in there. Oh goodness. Yeah. So still waiting winter out. I was telling my wife when I popped out of work at 5, at least on the East Coast or up north here, I don't know what it's like down there. I assume that the sun's pretty much the same, even if you go south. But it is a breath of fresh air. Yes, it's cold out. Yes, it's miserable. My water froze last Friday. The light coming back is phenomenal. Getting out of work at 5 o'clock when I'm in Bondo and working on cars all day long, and I don't go outside all that much. I'm kind of just in the shop doing my thing. And when I get seasonal depression. I don't get seasonal depression, but I understand it. When you open the door from work, you've been in there all day long, and it's dark. It's like, oh, wah, wah, wah. And now it's light at 5 o'clock, and it's just that little tidbit, like, it may be a slow go, but winter, your days are numbered, man. The more that happens, you can't survive. You can't stay snowy all the time. And when it stops snowing, then we can go racing. Then we can, then I can be out in the barn having these live streams and working on the karts and stuff like that. As much as I thought I was a nut job for getting out there and doing everything I did to the studio, which I was trying to get everything in the shot for that first video back. I don't think I'm going to do that. I felt like I was too far back from the camera. I think I have to make an adjustment to that. I'm probably not going to get the big track tag banner in there. I'll get everything, relative. Bring it back into where I had the field of vision before, to where, and not that I need to be the center of attention, but I'm talking. I kind of need to be. I felt like it was too big, so I'm gonna make an adjustment there. But me going out to that, to doing stuff like that, and I still want to do more, once the weather at least gives me a hint of, hey, you can be out here and not die, from from the cold. I still don't have propane. I have a heater. I don't have propane. But if it just cracks a little bit to where we're in the 20s or even 30s, I can survive out there, especially with a heater. I think it's going to be wonderful, and I can get even more done. That little bit, the 3 days or whatever it was that I was out there organizing, putting stuff, moving stuff, throwing stuff out type of thing, it put me ahead of schedule to where, not only a more representable type of barn, because you guys may not notice it, maybe you do. It is what it is. I have too much stuff. I'm too much of a clutter bug. It needs to stop. For the entirety of the channel, I at least want my shop to look at least somewhat professional. I see, was it Kart Solutions? Superior? No, I can't off the top of my head think of it. Anyway, when they do videos, they have a very nice shop. It's very clean. It's very nice. And, I'm a little like, man, I could be a little better there. I could, when you're just seeing the stuff that's around me, I know it's my barn. I know I got the lawnmower and all that stuff, but it could look more representable for when I do videos, for when I do, show and tells type of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting out there and getting stuff. I kind of need parts. I have some parts, but I need more parts to get the UAS ride back up on its feet type of thing. But I want to strip it down and at least get it cleaned. I don't know that I'll have it, sandblasted or anything like that. But we're gonna. I'm sorry. I think just clean it. Make sure I go through every nut and bolt. Make sure it's back together. Perfectly fine. Got a new seat, a new Evolution seat to put in it, and get that. Obviously, when I get everything back together, get scaled and stuff like that. One thing is I got extra larges now. I've lost a little bit of weight. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. I don't feel as if like this part has lost a ton. I still have a pooch on me. I think they'll be fine, and I don't mind. You could shift a little bit. Like you should not move a ton, but if your cart is ill handling, you need a little more left, something like that. It's not a deal breaker to be able to shift a little bit and get more comfortable, stuff like that. Hello, is your setup on your cart different from running slicks to treads? Thanks. I don't have treads. I haven't run treads, but you're probably going to find that to be the case a little bit. Not leaps and bounds. So I'll take the perspective of UAS versus clone. My numbers are similar, but just slightly different. We'll take Cross, for instance. We'll use Cross as an example. If I was running Southern Dirt on a clone cart, chances are just going to have the cross pegged. I'm going to have as much cross as I possibly can put into the chassis. In UAS, I'm not going to do that. I am very comfortable, and matter of fact, I prefer it to be running less cross in my UAS ride because of how it handles. Whether it be tire or horsepower, it's gonna affect something somewhere. I would, if you were just starting out, and you were going tread rate, or you're going from slicks onto treads, try it first. Run it, try and keep your numbers as close as possible to what you need, and then make an adjustment. The first adjustment I would probably, it would be a cross adjustment. So you put these numbers on there, say you have 65% cross. You go out there with your treads and the thing does not turn, or turns too good, or something like that. Make a cross adjustment. And then the next time out, see if it's better or worse. And just small incremental changes. With treads is gonna the thing that is gonna mess with it, I think, the most is going to be like tire rollover and stuff like that. A tread typically has is bigger in circumference, so it's gonna roll over more, so it's gonna make the chassis different. I'm not saying bad or good. I'm not saying you can't run the numbers that like a factory will give you. Just off the top of my head, I would probably, with treads, I've never run them, but intuitively, I would probably run a little less cross. That's what I do in UAS. I find it to be a useful thing. I don't think all that cross is necessary in UAS unless you're on super high bitey. One might argue that that's ideal. I haven't been on anything since Jasper, Florida. That was just so much bite, I didn't know what to do with myself, and I do think I had my cross pegged there. I think I had like 67 or 68% cross there, but it would be my first go-to. Go out, put the numbers on that you would normally run with slicks, and try and get your circumferences of your treads similar. Staggers and all that stuff, not circumferences, but staggers, get them pretty close to that, and then try it. And if it doesn't work, maybe start playing with cross a little bit and see if it has an effect on that. I don't know the dynamics. It shouldn't change all that much between percentages left. Or, you might be able to run less left. That's a possibility because of the rollover of the tire. That's a possibility. I wouldn't think that front to back, I wouldn't think nose weight should change all that much, but I don't know the dynamic of how that cart is going to behave with treads. Loading the nose, deloading the nose, that type of thing. So all I can say is play with it, try factory numbers, try whatever you're used to being running, and then see how it behaves. It might be spot on, but if it isn't, then start moving stuff. Just don't go crazy. I've dealt with people in the past, good friends of mine, that will make like 4 changes. You can do that. You don't know what did what. That's, usually a 1, maybe 2 thing change. Okay, I needed to get into the corner a little better. Maybe I put a little more positive left front camber in it. It'll bite in harder. Okay, cool. Don't go and do that change. Tip your right front up, change your cross, and then change your air pressures, because you don't know what happened. You don't know what effect had maybe you hit it. It's possible, but the more changes you make, the less you know what made that change, made that either positive or negative effect on the cart. But I see that we are over an hour, so I appreciate everybody coming by. I'm not positive on the video for Sunday yet. I don't know. I'm doing one. I'm definitely doing one. I just don't know. I got a couple ideas that maybe I should go a little more simplistic and talk about something that I probably should have talked about a while ago. I have this other idea of it might be a little more complex than I want to do, especially with the temperature out there. I try and limit the amount of time that I actually have to go out and shoot a video because of the temperature. I don't mind being cold. I just don't like being in the cold too long. In the one video, the more simplistic video idea that I have, shouldn't put me out there for, much longer than a standard video. I don't want to pull off a 30-minute video and come in and not feel my toes and fingers. The concept that I was playing with might not play off, is as good as I would like it to do. Again, I'm not concerned about views. Some videos do way better than others. This is the downtime of the season, so typically my videos aren't doing great. Like Super Duper South, Super Duper South, and Degenerate Garage. Them guys, they're obviously still racing. Their videos do numbers wise way better than mine. Cool. High tides raises all ships. That thing. I'm, it's not a competition in my eyes. I also do something completely different from them guys, but it is a downtime for me, so I'm only able to do so much when I'm out there, and everybody's not currently, except for a couple of races here or there, full on racing. It's not race season. So this is the low part. So it's as expected. Like, I glance at the numbers. I go, ooh, didn't do very good at all. Is what it is. But thank you very much, everybody. Video coming Sunday as always. We'll do this next Thursday, and then once we do this next Thursday, one more sleep, I'll be headed up to New Hampshire, which I've never been to that state, so that'll be kind of cool. I'm not super looking forward to 6-hour drive either way, but it'll be great. I'll get to meet Monk Newsom of Premier Racing Chassis and Monk Speed, his tire guy. I've raced against him. I got lapped by him. That happened last spring. So I get to formally kind of meet him. It'll be kind of nice to meet, and then obviously get to meet everybody at the expo next week. But I'll talk about a little bit more about that next week. I think my anticipation of it and what could go on and stuff like that. This week. I got to concentrate, get the Shatter, just kind of buttoned up. We'll say it's not far. It was pretty much good to go since I only raced one race on it, so it got cleaned and just a couple, button some things up to make it representable to show off at the expo. But yeah, should be a real good time. But thank you very much, everybody, for stopping by. I really appreciate you every single week coming by and kind of chatting with me and keeping me going. Obviously, I have the gift of gab, so it doesn't take much. Even if you guys don't say anything, I'll say a lot. But thank you very much. It's a learning season for us. Yeah, everybody learns. Been doing it 24 years. Learn new things every day. I would never assume to know everything. That also would. I got this thing about having an ego. You can be confident. Just don't have an ego. Always learning. There's something new. Somebody beats you. Go chase that. So, all right, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Later.